So, as you all remember, Celeste Rivas, a 14-year-old girl, was tragically found in the trunk of a Tesla in Los Angeles on September 8th. That Tesla, which has now become central to this ongoing investigation, was registered to the singer known as David. And right after the news broke, it sent shockwaves across social media, news outlets, and of course in the music community. I mean, this was a story that nobody could ignore. Now, here's what we know so far. The car had actually been towed from the Hollywood Hills area before the gruesome discovery. And that's important, right? Because it wasn't just sitting there for everyone to find immediately. It was removed. Then later, tragically, what was inside was revealed. At the time, David was staying in a rental property in that same area. Police had already visited the property to collect evidence prior to him moving out. And then, shortly after the body was discovered, David vacated the residence. Now here's where it gets interesting. The landlord of that Hollywood Hills property, who, as it turns out, is now actively involved in tracking the case, hired a private investigator named Steve Fischer. Fischer is known for being involved in high-profile cases, and according to reports, the landlord decided to bring him in because he was frustrated with the timeline of the LAPD investigation. He reportedly felt that progress was too slow, and he wanted answers for his own property as well as clarity on the situation overall. Since Fischer started investigating, he's shared some significant findings. First, there's the Tesla itself, the vehicle in which Celeste's body was found. Beyond that, he's apparently noted the presence of some out-of-place tools at David's Hollywood Hills residence. Now, Fischer hasn't fully elaborated on exactly what those tools are, but their existence has raised questions in some circles, simply because it seems unusual or inconsistent with what one would expect in a rental property at the time. Again, these are observations shared by a private investigator, not confirmed criminal evidence. Another major point that is still pending is the cause of Celeste's death. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office has yet to officially determine it. As it stands, it's listed as deferred. That's an official term, which essentially means that the examiners are waiting for further results, such as toxicology or other lab analyses, before making a determination. And until the cause of death is officially known, the LAPD has stated they cannot proceed with formally classifying this as a homicide. At this moment, no suspects have been named, and authorities have noted that David is cooperating fully with the investigation. Now, Fischer recently shared a potential timeline that could bring some clarity soon. According to him, based on how the LA County Medical Examiner's Office has handled other cases, many deaths previously listed as deferred have now had their causes and manners of death established. He specifically noted that cases through September 1st or 2nd had been updated. That suggests, he says, that a determination in Celeste's case could be forthcoming within about 10 days of his statement, which puts us somewhere around November 10th. It's important to understand what Fischer meant here. He clarified that this doesn't necessarily mean we'll see the full autopsy report released publicly. What it could mean is that an initial classification will be made. That classification could identify whether her death is considered a homicide, natural causes, suicide, accidental, or undetermined. So, while the public may see a cause of death soon, it doesn't necessarily answer all the questions yet. Fischer had also suggested, in earlier commentary, that Celeste may have died of an accidental overdose. The LAPD, at the same time, had also previously mentioned that there might not have been any foul play involved. And here's where it gets tricky. These are possibilities, not conclusions. Nothing is confirmed. It's a delicate situation because the public conversation has been so loud, but investigators are taking a methodical approach. Now let's step back for a moment. Beyond the facts and speculation, this is ultimately about a young girl who lost her life. Families and friends are grieving, and communities are looking for answers, and the timeline of Celeste's final days is critical. Investigators have been reviewing surveillance footage, witness accounts, and phone records to try and understand what happened. Every single piece of evidence is being scrutinized to build a full picture of her movements leading up to her death. Meanwhile, the Hollywood Hills property itself has been cleared. The landlord reportedly removed personal belongings, boxes, debris, and other items after police activity. This step was described as necessary to prepare the property for the next tenants. From his perspective, it makes sense. He wants to ensure that his property is maintained and that there's clarity after a highly publicized incident occurred there. There are also legal movements surrounding David's other properties. Around the same time as Celeste's body was released to her family, David transferred ownership of a Texas property into his mother's name. Many online observers have speculated about why this occurred. Some suggest it could be a precautionary measure in case of civil proceedings. Others argue it's a standard legal practice. We do not know the exact reasoning, and it's important to note that transferring property is not an admission of guilt. In addition, David has reportedly hired high-profile legal counsel. While some might view this with suspicion, in high-stakes situations, especially ones attracting public attention, it's standard procedure to retain experienced representation. This move, according to legal analysts, is about preparation and protection, rather than any indication of wrongdoing. Now, the broader context here is also critical. Social media has been rife with speculation. Every rumor seems to spread faster than any verified fact. Some discussions have focused on David's personal life or his career, while others focus on conspiracy theories and unverified claims. And while the public conversation can be intense, investigators rely on hard evidence, official reports, and verified witness statements, not speculation. At this stage, what can we say with confidence? Here's a summary of what is currently confirmed or reasonably reported. 1. Celeste Rivas' body was found in the trunk of a Tesla registered to David. 2. The discovery occurred in Hollywood Hills on September 8th. 3. Police visited David's rental property prior to him moving out to gather evidence. 4. The landlord of the property hired private investigator Steve Fischer due to concerns about the pace of the investigation. 5. Fischer has noted unusual items at the Hollywood Hills property and provided updates regarding the Tesla. 6. The cause of death remains deferred. The medical examiner has not yet classified it as a homicide. 7. No suspects have been publicly identified, and authorities have confirmed that David is cooperating. 8. The Hollywood Hills property has been cleared of belongings and debris. 9. David transferred a Texas property to his mother and has retained high-profile legal counsel. As of now, the key focus is on the medical examiner's upcoming determination. Once a cause of death is revealed, investigators may have additional direction for their next steps, whether that's in the form of interviews, follow-ups on evidence, or formal classification of the case. So what do you think? Do you feel the investigation is moving at a reasonable pace? Should private investigators like Steve Fischer be involved in these types of cases, or do you think it complicates matters? And finally, how do we, as an audience, balance curiosity with respect for the grieving family and the seriousness of the investigation?